80% of the world is going to have elect leaders, new leaders, or present leaders. Yeah, the political class, they're pretty easy to spot if you know where to look. I mean, the idea that the stock market's good, it's a good economy, you're well off, free vote for me, put me back in office. That's been going on for a long time. And yes, I agree. Both of those things will take place. So there is this sort of anti-dollar movement going. But I want to circle back to what I said earlier. As good as that is for these nations to be free and independent and be able to settle their own affairs in their own currency, which I think is the best way to do it, they still have that dollar overhang. They still have that debt, that money that they borrowed from the United States that can't be paid back. Chinese run to gold, which they're doing. So it's signaling that there's something. It's not telling us exactly what, but it's indicating strongly that we have more, let's call it, more problems or more concerns going further ahead.
Today with me is David Morgan. He is a widely recognized analyst in the precious metals industry. He also consults for hedge funds, high net worth individuals, as well as mining companies. And he is the publisher of the Morgan Report, which is also available in our German language. And we will have a link below the video. And he's author of the Silver Manifesto. David, first of all, thank you very much for your time. It's a pleasure to have you.
Jan, thank you very much.
So David, it's nothing new that you and we here on our YouTube channel, we are talking about potential dangers of our financial system, about a new crisis that could come pretty soon. I think there are plenty of signs that we have a turbulent time ahead, probably. So let's jump right in, right? Based on your observations, how close do you think we are to a next crisis, and how could it look like? Will it be the Chinese property crisis that will hit us? Will it be the banks that collapse? What are your opinions on that?
Well, there's an expression, that's been used or maybe overused about a black swan. This is an event that very seldom takes place, but they do occur. And there are several, as you outlined. It could be a continuation of the Chinese property problem. It could be a bank problem. For me to know, I'd be lying. I really don't know. If I'm going to guess, and I'll use the word guess, I would guess it'd be in the banking sector or the brokerage sector, where there's a mismatch of some type. In other words, maybe on the next bond sale for the United States Treasury for, short-term debt, it really wasn't fulfilled and the market gets spooked. Or maybe a big bank going down, or maybe a non-delivery of a commodity or something along those lines. But there's many vectors. There's more than one black swan. There's several, which is what's a little bit more perturbing or upsetting, is that it's just not one thing now. It could be one thing that triggers another thing. You could have a financial situation coupled with something else going on in the war zone or whatever. You kind of get a double whammy. So unfortunately, that's sort of the world that we're in, but there are things we can control and there's things that we cannot. And I think it's best to focus on what we can and be prepared for something that could happen, but not to spend too much energy on it. These things are going to unfold the way they do. But if you've taken precautions and done your best in preparing for that more mentally in some cases, then when it does occur, you're not all shocked or whatever. You knew that there was probably going to be an increase in rhetoric about the war or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Is the rising gold price already a sign for a new crisis that could occur soon? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, gold's a barometer, so gold looks ahead. So gold is looking ahead, and it's signaling us that there is a fill in the blank banking crisis ahead. Further efforts in the war, Chinese run to gold, which they're doing. So it's signaling that there's something. It's not telling us exactly what, but it's indicating strongly that we have more, let's call it, more problems or more concerns going further ahead.
All right. So let's talk about something we can't control it, but we know that it's happening. The future of the US dollar. I mean, de-dollarization, that's a good word, and de-dollarization is taking place. It's noticeable that central banks are buying gold as if there's no tomorrow, especially the Chinese. Will we see a slow end of the dollar over the next years? What is your opinion on that? Or is it also possible that the Chinese are coming with, for example, a new gold standard, a new gold-backed currency, and that could lead to a rapid replacement of the US dollar? What do you think about that? And maybe it's all of this rubbish and we will stick for the US dollar forever. What do you think about that?
I think the dollar is probably going to be around longer than most of us think. We know it's on its way out.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know when. We don't know if it's a year out or 10 years out. It's probably more than a year. And I don't think it'll ever go away and go to zero. I think it'll go away and be replaced. And the Chinese cannot replace the dollar on a global basis because the dollar debt problem is the problem for the world. Most foreign countries owe US dollars back to the US Treasury, or really to the Federal Reserve, and they have to be paid back in dollars. So unless there's another Bretton Woods type of an agreement where the dollar is gone, there's a new monetary system, we're going to call it the Globo. The Globo is a one world currency, and we're going to convert your renminbi into globos, and we're going to accept the debt repayment in globos. Unless something like that occurs, dollar is still commanding the structure of the financial system, which is a debt-based system. So until that debt from dollars is extinguished somehow, either by non-payment, partial payment, or introduction of a new system, it's still got a lot of power. It will continue to go down in value. There's little doubt about that. But going to absolute zero, no, something I think will occur before that takes place.
And you said it could be different if we had a new financial system in the meantime, for example. Is it a possibility that we will have a new financial system within the next few years because something happens? Or do you think that is probably unlikely?
No, I think it's probable. I mean, the big bankers, Mark Carney, when he was head of the Bank of England, made a speech, 3 areas. He made the speech in Jackson, Wyoming at the Fed. He made it in the United Nations, and then I forget the third place, but basically was the same speech, which the bankers want a unbacked digital currency, a CBDC, central bank digital currency, with modern money theory. So it's unbacked, they can print as much as they want, force everyone to take it. And that's basically what they're shooting for. Now, whether or not that absolutely happens, I know there'll be some resistance. How much, we don't know. And I think that will, excuse me, I think that will happen within the next 3 years or perhaps sooner. I wouldn't be surprised to see some implementation of a central bank digital currency outside of China, which has already implemented it, and it functions well. It's the model for the world, really, what China's done. And to see that, come west more and more. So I don't think it's a 10 years out. I think it's like 2 years out.
Okay. Wow. We've already talked about China and the US. I think the US is a world-leading nation, right? It's the world powerhouse, if you want. But not just the military is a good thing from the US, but also the dollar, right, leads to being the leading nation for the world, if you like. But in this context, what do you think about the BRICS plus, Brazil, China, India, South Africa, and Russia? I think they don't really want to have the US even longer as the world leading nation. And even if they don't really like each other, they have one thing in common. They want to be the leading powerhouse. Is it realistic in your point of view that we will one day not just have the US, but also China as world leading nation? At this point of time, we already see the conflict between Iran and Israel. Iran is more the BRICS part, Israel is more the Western part. Is it the beginning of a global power game?
Well, the power game's been going on for a long time. Really saw China start to come to the fore around the year 2000. we're in 2024, so we've had maybe 20, 25 years where China has really come from almost nowhere to being the second leading economy in the world. And some people argue the leading economy in the world. And we don't measure that so much. We measure it by GDP, which is a way to measure it. I think there's better ways, but regardless, the idea is how much do they produce? And they produce a lot. And because of that production, they are the leaders in, global world, in the world, as far as making the most stuff. The U.S., as you said, is a military powerhouse and also, pretty strong on agriculture. We really don't make much here. We've exported all the manufacturing to China. And so that shift is continuing, although the Chinese are having issues as well with the real estate over leverage, a debt-based monetary system, and everything that goes with what we call misallocation of capital. If you don't let the free market determine where to put your money and it's controlled by a central authority, then you get too much of something you don't need, not enough of something you do need. But yeah, I think it'll continue. I think the trend will continue. And as far as the currency, that's a different topic. So what the BRICS have done is something that no one was able to do up until recently. Going back not that long ago, if you tried to price oil in anything but the US dollar, you had a problem. You would get a lead ache, you would be shot, or you would be removed. And that's not true anymore. So if you're able to settle renminbi for oil with the Russians, or with the real with oil with the Russians, or whatever, and that's what's happening with the BRICS. They're using each other's currency for final settlement, bypassing the dollar altogether. And that's very strengthening and freeing and gives more independence to the nation states that have joined the BRICS. And it keeps growing, as you know. So there is this sort of anti-dollar movement going. But I want to circle back to what I said earlier. As good as that is for these nations to be free and independent and be able to settle their own affairs in their own currencies, which I think is the best way to do it, they still have that dollar overhang. They still have that debt, that money that they borrowed from the United States that can't be paid back in anything but dollars, unless, as I said earlier, there is a re-establishment of the rules, and the rules are, well, we will accept, a different currency, or the more likely the new currency, the new CBDC will accept that in final payment. But that's just my imagination, and others have talked about it. So there's those two things: the power that's moved to the west, from the west to the east, and the currency system that can bypass the dollar, basically day-to-day transactions, but in the long-term debt system, it can't. It has to come back to the dollar.
All right. Thank you very much for your thoughts on that. So it's not just the power which is basically moving from the west to the east, it's also the gold, right? And as we said earlier, we've seen quite a rise in the gold price. I think we went up from not even 2,000 US to 2,400 US dollar now. New all-time highs basically every day for the last few weeks. And on the other hand, the mining industry overall, the industry was bleeding for the last 3 or 4 years since COVID. Now the miners are still bleeding, still behind, not really a spike as we've seen in gold. That remembers me to 2007. I think the mining industry was down already before the financial system collapsed. Do you see any parallels there, or do you think it's just a matter of time until we see the mining industry rising again?
Well, I agree with you, Jan. I think the markets don't believe, no one's believing this rally. I mean, if you look at the miners, they are not moving much. They're moving a little, some exceptions here and there, but on aggregate, on the whole, they're not. They're not believing this is a real move. The retail investor, really, there's the wholesalers I talk to, I mean, big firms that move a lot of metal in any given year, they're getting as many sellbacks as they are new purchases. A lot of people are sitting on their hands. So there's no confirmation from the mining industry. There's no confirmation from the man in the street that's a gold bug that buys gold on a fairly regular basis. They're not really participating. and but you do see it in the futures market. And of course, there's people try to explain what's going on, and of course, there's buying pressure coming. The buying pressure is in the paper markets, and there seems to be a fairly robust amount of precious metals coming out of China. So maybe is China leading this? Probably they are, but still not convinced that we don't have further to go, because these markets that no one believes can go up and don't understand why they're going up, and they keep going up, usually surprise almost all the analysts, and they continue. And then to get to a certain threshold, and all of a sudden the miners do start to participate. The mining stocks do start to get a bid. And the retail market comes in and goes, geez, I will buy gold at $2,450 before it gets to $2,500, that type of thing. I'm not predicting that. It doesn't happen very often. It's a rare event, but it also is an indication of a very strong market and a new market, which I'm convinced pretty much we're in a new market. I wish silver's gold ratio was a little stronger than it is. I wish it was like in the 70s rather than the 80s. Excuse me. But nonetheless, I do think silver is confirming gold's move here, and we're on our way. And there will be some very sharp corrections, which will scare people, especially new people, that, oh, darn, I bought that $2,450 gold and it went to $2,550 and I knew it would. And then, a week later, it's back down to $2,450 where they bought it, dropped $100 in a day. And they're really upset, so it's going to be an interesting ride, but it's to the upside overall.
All right, that sounds good. So you think we are in a new market? Miners are still not moving. Do you think we need more marketing from the industry as well? I'm always saying we are missing the Elon Musk in our mining industry because we're not really present. How do you feel about that?
I think in silver you have it with the industrial demand, with the amount of demand you have from the photovoltaics, which is almost a third of the silver market. That's a big ongoing demand that's not going away. And then you've got the war effort that demands a lot of silver that no one talks about and it's not reported. The amount of silver used in the military industrial complex is buried within electronics, photovoltaics, batteries, soldering, brazing, ethyloxene, all this stuff. It's in those statistics, but it's not broken out as military use. On gold, the impetus has been from the central banks. They've been buying gold at a record rate over the last couple of years. So I think there are those subtle Elon Musks out there, but yet, again, the overall market, especially the mining industry, just doesn't believe it. And for the mining industry to believe it, we need basically the stock market to start to hiccup and for analysts to look at reality. A lot of these stocks that are so high priced are not based on their earnings as they should be in a true market environment. I mean, a company should be valued based on how much it earns, not on how popular it is. And the gold stocks, a lot of them have got really some pretty good earnings because the gold price is up much higher than it was going back just a few months. And so their earnings will show on a computer, on an analytical value sweep done throughout the entire sector. So I think there's a lag. I think that the miners will start to catch a bid, but I don't think it's going to be immediate based on, what we've talked about. But going forward, a couple quarters of really robust earnings for some of the bigger producers will catch the eye. And we already got people like Drunken Miller that bought, Newmont at what, 31, it's at 38 now, 8 points, 7-8 points on a $30 stock's pretty good profit already. He's smart enough to really get in before anything started to take place. So it will happen. It's just maybe not as quickly as you and I would like to see.
Yeah, well, unfortunately. But if you think we'll see a rising mining industry soon, is there any other metal you're looking at right now? Maybe copper, silver?
Well, copper looks pretty impressive to the copperheads. I'm not as bullish on it as others, but I'm bullish on the metals generally. I've been a platinum bull for some time. It's really not participated too much in this move. I like it over palladium. I was on a very long position from all over a year where I was short palladium and long platinum. And even though platinum went sideways for almost the entire year and a half, palladium went down, 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 down. So the spread trade worked out really well. I just closed it out recently when they got pretty close to par. I still think that platinum has more upside than palladium, but it hasn't really moved. It's not really a monetary metal. I mean, in the classic sense of its attributes, it is, but in reality, it doesn't. It's an industrial metal. No one buys it really for its monetary characteristics. But you didn't have to buy rhodium for its monetary characteristics to do really well either. So some of these metals, copper really isn't considered a monetary metal. Zinc, we got in a zinc squeeze for a little while. So I'm pretty bullish on the precious metals primarily, but also some of the base metals as well.
All right, that's good. And we already talked about, or you just said, you don't really think the markets are, let's say, fair valued, right? There are some companies, they are not valued based on their revenue or their earnings. They are based on popularity, for example. And I've been talking to Frank Holmes just a couple of days ago, and he said 2/3 of the world are in an election year. Also, the companies are, for example, are there, first question, it's a two-parted question, sorry. So first of all, do you think that could be a political thing, that politicals put more money into the market so the people are more hyped on the good stock market so they will get re-elected? And also, are people influenced by the media, for example, to push the stocks up and up and up and don't really see the crisis that is coming ahead? Is it a narrative which is leading the market right now? What do you think?
I believe it is. Yeah, Frank's a pretty sharp guy. I've known him for years. And yeah, we wrote about that. In fact, it's, this year could be 2/3. Over the next 4, it was like 80% of the world is going to have elect leaders, new leaders, or present leaders. Yeah, the political class, they're pretty easy to spot if you know where to look. And I mean, the idea that the stock market's good, it's a good economy, you're well off, re-vote for me, put me back in office. That's been going on for a long time. And yes, I agree. Both of those things will take place.
Thanks. So for the end, David, thank you very much for your statement so far. We talked about politicians. Let's have a quick look to Argentina. We do have a new head of Argentina, if you like, Javier Milei, who is not like a normal politician. He is more reform-minded, if you like. Could this serve as a model for other economies and other countries as well that are facing similar challenges? Do you think politicians like him is something we need in our world, or how do you view on Argentina's president?
Well, first of all, I'm biased because I adhere to the Austrian School of Economics pretty much. I don't agree with every single thing, but overall, laissez-faire, free market attitude, free market thinking serves the people best. And I'm for what serves the people best. I mean, less government is best government in a lot of cases. So I think Milei has done a pretty good job. I have a little concern looking deeper because some of the cabinet are kind of the same old creatures that were there before, but you got to look for the end result to really evaluate. So far, so good. I'm for free markets. I mean, I think these elections ought to be on the up and up, that the people really do in democratic societies, that the people vote and their vote counts and it's not misrepresented. It's not some foreigner that's voting in their political system that doesn't really, is not a member of that society and that type of thing. So really, I would say it's broader than just what's going on in Argentina. It is worldwide, as you indicated, John. But my point is that do we really know? Do we really know what the people want? How much of these elections have been, true to form? There's been, interference. And then there's kind of what we talked about, so much persuasion, propaganda, where the narrative kind of sways people that don't know where to get good information. So let's just do a thought experiment. If we had free elections or people's vote counted and there's no misrepresentation, and the political class told the truth to the parties of what they were really doing, I think we would automatically have a different and better system. But the powers that be are of the persuasion that they know more than we do. They deserve to be in power because they're better than we are, and that the end justifies the means, so they can cheat their way in because we don't know what we're doing anyway, which has got us to where we're at now, in a real big mess worldwide.
Absolutely. I think I can definitely confirm it from here in Germany, and I think you have the same thoughts over in the US. So David, thank you very much for your time, for answering all my questions. As I said earlier, your David Morgan, or the Morgan report as it's called, is also available in Germany. A lot of German speaking people know you. So anything for the end you would like to tell the German people?
Well, I admire them very much. I mean, to me, I hope this doesn't offend anyone, but I'll just tell you what I think, and I guess you could be offended. I relate to Germany probably more than any other country in Europe. I just see it, Swiss as well, but particularly the Germans. It's just sort of their attitude of high technology, lots of engineers, lots of hard work ethic, an ethic that I want to work. I have a purpose. My purpose is to do my best. My purpose is to make the Mercedes a better Mercedes. I mean, that type of drive that the German people, I see it, I feel it, I can sense it. And it's apparent. I mean, the type of engineering. I drive a Volkswagen, by the way. And, at my age, I've had several cars. And the best diesel I've ever had is my Volkswagen. I get fabulous mileage. It's very zippy for 4 cylinders, and I have had very little maintenance done on the car. So yeah, that's a shout out to the German people. I feel your pain as well. The repression from the financial system, you're being repressed, and your political class is probably no better than ours. But I still keep the faith that the people in themselves are really good-hearted, hardworking, well-meaning, and high-spirited people. So I'll leave it at that.
Great. David, thank you very much. It was a great interview. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm really looking forward to talking to you again. Thank you very much for your time, and see you next time.
Very good. Thank you.